make it tangle. My good money. My good money. My good money. I'm making money, my thug.
This podcast or broadcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, health, tax, or professional advice. Always consult a licensed professional for specific advice related to your situation. Thank you.
You're now tuned in to the Mic'd Up Money Radio Show, where faith meets finance and real talk fuels your comeback. This isn't hype, it's healing. This isn't theory, it's transformation. If you're building a brand, a vision, or trying to get back on your feet, this show is your reset button. Welcome to the table where entrepreneurs talk money with clarity, courage, and conviction. Let's get mic'd up.
Hello, this is Ephraim Simmons. We're about to do another episode of Mic'd Up Money. We're going to be talking about professional dress for entrepreneurs. This is part 2. Today I have Brother Rushing on the phone. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell you what he does before we start asking questions.
My name is Zebelum Rushing. I'm a professional bespoke haberdasher here in the city of Memphis. I have been doing this profession for over 40 years, and I help gentlemen with branding for his image and their desire for the outline they are shooting for in business attire. And I coach them along, give them the ideas that I've learned in the industry that I think will be most helpful for their business progress. That's what I do.
Okay, so that being said, let's get started with these questions. What's the number one mistake entrepreneurs make trying to look professional?
Well, the number one mistake I believe they make trying to look professional is not realizing that everything is centered around etiquette. And by saying that is knowing how to dress for the occasions, whether it be a business meeting, whether it be a luncheon, whether it be a variety of things, knowing the proper way to dress for its etiquette for the culture. I think there's a big pet peeve that many they don't know it. Sometimes for certain occasions you can overdress, for certain occasions you can underdress. Most importantly, you have to, as an entrepreneur, know what it means to dress for image branding. Your brand means a lot, and it's the way you communicate, even by what you wear, what you don't wear. So those are categories that a lot of people don't believe to not send out various frequencies to the ones you're trying to draw business wise. So you want to be aligned for the type of person that you want to draw to your business, and imaging is a big part of it. You know, you always hear in marketing that people go by more so what they see and hear. So I would say that not really understanding the environments they're going into and what it requires in order for them to attract what they're trying to attract and close the doors they're trying to close. That would be my number one, my answer, to why so many entrepreneurs fail when it comes to image by trying to overdo. And a lot of times it's not really the things you overdo. Things that really draw our simplicity and quiet. That speaks louder than any volume you can ever put in the room.
Okay, so what's one item that instantly upgrades a man even on a budget?
One item that instantly upgrades a man that's on a budget, I would say that instantly upgrade is a simple navy blue sport coat.
Why is that?
Well, for one thing, it's considered to be traditional. A sport coat doesn't necessarily mean you have to wear a tie. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to wear dress pants. You can wear khakis, even jeans. And it is a nice overgarment that says I'm professional, and it is more of, I consider, a uniform that can be easily used in whatever type of business environment that you are matriculating in. So I think a sport coat would be simply the most important item that a person can wear. It'll be number one, sport coat, and the next would be just a nice clean white shirt.
Okay, so what if my sport coat is too short? Does that add to anything, or does it take away?
Well, the thing about business is not for fad. Business is not for fad dressing. Business attire. So you want to be able to appeal to the masses because what you're doing is marketing yourself. and you're not marketing yourself to be what I call a GQ specialist. You're marketing yourself for the bottom line. So I would say that you want to follow the tools and understand the tools of that's gonna cause you to be most successful. And a lot of times you can enter into rooms not understanding and knowing that fad fades out, but conservative and tradition always brings wealth. That would be my answer.
Okay. So what's the difference between style and presence?
Style is more so a trend. Style is more so of your personal appearance or your desire for setting the tone for your own personal appearance. But presence really states that you know who you are, you know your objective, you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you're showing up for the assignment, knowing your outcome. You already have an outline. You've already have presence means I'm putting out an objective, and this is my objective is, and this is how I plan to get to the conclusion of the objective I have.
Okay. So what does a sloppy outfit signal to a banker?
A sloppy outfit signals to a banker that you're not critiqued on detail. That sends a signal of outward expression that tells a person a lot about an inward personality. That's what sloppiness really represents. It's an outward expression expressing a inward condition, and it appears from the inside out. So I hope that kind of makes it clear.
What's the worst, almost ruined the moment outfit you've seen before a big meeting?
That's a good question. I would say to show up to a meeting of significance that has a meaningful meeting that could be the turning point of one's life, or it could be that moment they've been waiting for, and not being prepared and showing up. I guess the worst attire I would see in a big meeting is, not coming in prepared. And I guess the worst thing I've seen is when one shows up unprepared, and it's more of being out of place. And I would say by showing up to a particular place, not properly hygiene, not using proper hygiene, I would say that'd be number one. When it comes to clothing, I wouldn't really critique that, but what I would say is an outfit that you're wearing that has not been properly cared for, not clean, maybe debris or some type of, something that's been spilled on the outfit and didn't care to have it cleaned or that nature. That would be something that I would say is probably the worst thing I've seen. If you show up for a particular situation or a place and you have not, taken care of your proper cleaning on your shirt, maybe your slacks, or showing up, just throw together without any effort. That's what I would say. That's the worst thing I've seen in a business setting that doesn't really sit well. So I wouldn't just say it's just the type of clothing that are worn, but I would say it would be clothing that's not properly cared for, or lastly, things that are not complementing one another. You wear a pink shirt and you have on lime green pants or something of that nature, something that's not coordinated well and that sticks out.
Well, maybe they want to be. Well, maybe they want to be an AKA.
Well, if that be the case, they need to go and apply to be an AKA. That's not the setting to be an AKA in a public meeting session.
You're listening to Mic'd Up Money, where faith meets finance, and your comeback starts now.
I'm gonna tell you about one time. Before I met you, I had this one guy who was selling me clothes, and he had this quote special suit for me, and I was already questioning his taste for me because I kind of felt like the stuff he was bringing out wasn't really fit for me, but he just was trying to sell it because he had it. And so one time, I had a pastor at the time. He was there at the shop with me, and I said, "Why don't you bring that suit out so my pastor can look at it?" And he was hesitating so much that the pastor at that time said, "Hey, bring that thing out. Let me look at it. Don't you know this guy brought me a howdy doody black suit with about 8 to 7-inch lapels and super baggy pants?" I said, "This man was trying to make me look like a clown and was going to try to sell it to me, and that was high fashion. When I could see with my plain eyes, he was trying to take advantage of me." Has anybody ever told you any stories like that?
Of course, many times, because a lot of times you got to understand that some people sell clothes for they sell clothes for a living. They don't sell clothes for a purpose. So you have to really evaluate and understand the person that you're connecting to. Are they aligned with your vision and where you're going? So oftentimes people think that tricks and gimmicks and all this on clothing is fashionable. But I have learned the KISS method. KISS method. That means keep it simple. And I won't say the last word, but at any rate, you don't have to put a lot of bells and whistles on garments because one thing you don't want a garment to the first thing to shout out, I'm here. What you want a garment to say, I'm polished. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm representing. I know what I'm desiring to do. And what you want to do, what your desire to do is to allow your garment to help doors open to you of all ethnicities, whether it be conservatives, whether it be whoever it might be, those on the right, those on the left, but is your purpose is to try to build your brand by your image and by your professionalism. And that with that garment, I know I'm going lengthy, but that garment should express you, who you are, what you all about, and where you're trying to go. As I say again, most importantly, you want it to be professional. You want it to be tailored correctly, and your desire is to build your brand. And the way you build your brand is you always want to go back to two words: conservative. You want to go back to conservative. You want to go back to class, and most importantly, tradition. Because if you're building a brand in business, tradition means a lot because tradition is where your wealth is.
Well, I know you've been doing clothes for decades, but can you tell me a time when someone ever fought your advice and then came back and admitted that you were right?
Well, I wouldn't say fault my advice because my track record has pretty much been proven. So I wouldn't say fight my advice, but more so, I wouldn't say fight my advice, but I have had some clients because they are high profile, kind of mindset, thought their areas of expertise were more strategic than mine and more strategic than my areas of expertise because of who they were, not realizing that they had to realize that's not their strength. And so oftentimes, I wouldn't say challenge me in for my areas of expertise, but thought they probably had more knowledge of the areas of expertise because of maybe reading and researching these type of things, not realizing that when you do these things day by day, they become the modern tools you work with by day. So it's not too many things you have not saying you know everything, but because you've been polishing that area over and over again, the areas, the blind spots. It's certain things you share as information because of having maturity in that area, just not by reading, but by experience. So I would say not really, not challenging my knowledge. I wouldn't say I have had that happen, but I have had those that thought perhaps maybe they were more knowledgeable in the industry than I was just due to them being what I call connoisseurs.
I know that sometimes, I'm pretty conservative with my uh, what I be buying most of the time, and I know sometimes you tell me, why don't you try this? I'm like, I don't know now, but I'm gonna trust you. I say I'm gonna trust you. No, this normally not what I do. And then I do try it, and I come back and say, "Hey, man, they love this combination. I never would have thought it. I never would have bought it, but because you recommended it, I did it because I trust you. Because this your job. I let you stay. I stay in my lane. My lane is not to know clothes. My job is to wear the clothes that has been prepared for me, so I can look like I want to look. But I know one time in my life, I told you, I came to you and said, I want to wear a blue suit every business day. Do you remember that time?
Exactly, I remember that.
And, when I presented to somebody else, he said, why would you want to do that? I said, you know what? People spend a lot of time trying to think out their clothes. I just want to wear what I feel comfortable with every day. And I had about 5 or 6 versions of the same suit. And I know you helped me meticulously pick out the shirts and the ties to go with them so that I can always wear what I wanted to wear, and I can always look fresh and new. I felt good about that time, even though I moved away from it. But I felt good about it because it's something I wanted to try, and I did it, and I believe it was successful.
Right, right, exactly. It was. It was very successful. Style is really a personality. Okay, style. I have to I have to, use that word. And the style is really a personality. Style can be, various things to various people, but presence is a total different deal. Everyone doesn't have presence when they enter into the room. So presence is a knowing of why you are there. That's what presence is all about, knowing why you are there. And your image and your presentation shows why you are there. So your presence actually is in alignment with what you are. That's what presence really means. It means that I'm in alignment where I am. I've showed up for the task and I'm ready. So, presence for a football player will be a football uniform. Presence for a basketball player will be a basketball uniform. So, presence is for a basketball player, don't wear a basketball uniform to a football game, or vice versa. Don't wear a football uniform to a basketball game. So presence says I have the attire for the objective that's at hand. So style can mean, you know, a lot of things to a lot of people. Some person said, well, I'm playing basketball, I want to tie a knot in my jersey, or I want to wear my pants to my knees. Well, what that says, that's a style, but that style is not going to work, for what that style won't work for the presentation, or that style won't work for what's happening at that time, because there's rules and regulations you have to follow. So if you can't follow the rules and regulations of the game by tucking your shirt in, doing the various things they say that have to be done in order to play that game, you won't play it. So that's a different style, and that's a difference in presence to me.
You're listening to Mic'd Up Money, where faith meets finance and your comeback starts now.
Okay, so that being said, do you think that streetwear in business is a smart move or a trust killer?
Streetwear in business depends on what business you're in. If you are handling business with guys that, that's what the market is that's what the client is looking for, that type of outfit, I would say that's appropriate for that setting. So again, it comes with etiquette. Understanding whatever you wear, whatever you do, is it fitting? Is it proper for what you're designing to do? And it's really a common sense question. So the question is, whatever client you're trying to draw, depending on that event that you are attending, that's how you approach it. So if you're going to a meeting and if you're in an urban business, or like City Gear, or some others that won't come to my mind right now, but you're in that type of business, and that's the type of meeting and the people that are going to be there because you're presenting your product, that's a win for you, because you won't look right going there with a navy blue suit on in an urban setting. So you have to understand the setting. The setting will give determination and focus on the outline that you should present by understanding setting. And it's simple. It's just a simple rule. Pay attention to the details. And when you pay attention to the details, you will arrive prepared.
Okay, so what's the biggest confidence transformation you've seen in your shop? Has anybody that came in before, come in your shop before and just say, man, people just don't recognize me, but after they start wearing your clothes and your selections, they saying, man, people just keep complimenting me. They just believe I'm somebody. I'm a banker. I'm a lawyer, somebody important. They want to just know who I am.
I have to answer that in a two-part. Most of the guys I deal with have mostly built their professional careers. Early in the industry, I would get feedback like that, but now it's not so much feedback of what people are saying and what people think about the attire, because what is happening is they've already set a trend, they've already set a brand, so they are expected to show up that way. But what I have heard behind closed doors with some of my guys that are lawyers, or what have you, or whatever their profession might be, that they will have people that pull them to the side and will ask, I like the details on that piece, I like how that is, I like that fabric, I like the way that fit, I like the way it looks. I like the quiet settledness of the piece you're wearing. I like the way it appears when it's, the way it flows, those type of things I do here. But I've in my career in the last, I said, 10 to 15 years, not too many come to me and say that, my confidence was low, and, it made me feel good because of what was said. That's kind of been filtered out, because the more mature you get and the more mature crowd you deal with, the less of that is said because it's already understood how they're showing up because the brand has already, been spoken for. So, but in my adolescent years, early, in my younger years, I would hear those type of conversations, uh, from some, but by understanding the outline again for the constituents that I'm serving, it's more so a brand and not a popularity gesture, if that makes sense.
Yes. So if someone only had $200, what would you upgrade first? The shoes, the jacket, the haircut, the hat, or the watch?
What I would suggest if a person has a $200 budget, what I would adjust first is the image.
And what?
So, like in their grooming, because what I'm saying with image, you could take basic things like a white shirt and navy plans that don't cost a whole bunch of money. You can take just a pair of traditional shoes and a traditional belt, which don't cost a lot of money. But the image inside of those goods is how you build your brand, because you can take the basics on a great image and go a long way.
Okay. So give me 3 rules for dressing as a business owner.
3 rules for dressing with the business owner. Number 1, you want to stick with being conservative. Okay. Number 2, you want to stick with traditional. And then number 3, you want to stick with colors, earth tone colors that give a warm feel. Those are the 3 things for a business owner I think are very important, because you have, glory to God, various constituents that you will be dealing with, and you want to be able to touch base. I call it base 1, base 2, base 3 in baseball to hit a home run. So the number 1 base is your conservative base or your traditional base or conservative base. Number 2 would be your conservative or your traditional base. Then base number 3 will be your neutral base, your base where you're coming home. So when you have those 3 components added to your business visual, you're gonna hit a home run every time. So it's everything that a business owner does has to be done with a purpose. And understanding the purpose, you have to have an excellent outline of somebody to step you through that's been in the industry for years and seen the results. I'll give you a prime example, Ephraim. I had a gentleman that was interviewing for the job with St. Jude. He was interviewing for a head surgical job. Matter of fact, at the time, and if I'm not mistaken, he was very, very, very high up in the interviewing process because no, he was interviewing for the chief surgeon. And he at this time he came in, polished guy, polished already, and he said, "I come to you for your expertise in this area because this is what I'm doing." And I never forget that day. And I said, we definitely want to go with navy blue. He said, I understand why, because navy blue is considered traditional. I'm sorry, pardon me, not traditional, but conservative. Charcoal gray is considered to be traditional. That's more for a banker. But because of what he was doing for us on the surgical day, he went in with a traditional look, plus with the smarts. And what I did, the image was already there. So I built the suit around the image. And guess what? He received the job. He received a big pay. He's still with the company today. And that's been 10 years ago. And he's way up top. He sought around all across Memphis, across Tennessee, across the country for his ability that he has and what he brought to the table to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, because this level of expertise. So what happens is I was able to understand where he was trying to go, what he was trying to do, and then set the proper outline that he needed in order to put the finishing touch on what he was trying to do. So that's vitally important. And so, I would say, I've had opportunities, to deal with some of the major guys at St. Jude as well, who already understand the corporate structure, how it works, and by understanding that, I was able to help them understand that I get it, I understand it, and that's where your perfect match comes from. And those guys really begin to be a trust, because you're not being noisy. You're being quiet, and you're being quiet with quiet confidence, because the higher you go up to the executive level in business or any other entity, is the quieter you are. That means that you're not micromanaging. You have other people understanding your outline and doing the work. So it's no need for you constantly, being noisy.
Okay. I love that example.
You're listening to Mic'd Up Money, where faith meets finance, and your comeback starts now.
But nowadays everybody's talking about going to networking events. Is there a standard network event uniform you think people should wear?
Well, depending again, it depends on what the networking event is centered around. What does the invitation say? Does it say semi-formal? Does it say business casual? These are all the things you have to take in mind again with etiquette. So if it tells you that it's going to be business casual, I would suggest not wearing a navy blue, charcoal gray, or any type of suit. So business casual means maybe some five pocket pants, maybe a nice knit shirt, maybe some on cloud sneakers, maybe, just some what I call like dress, not dress, but business casual type of shoe with a nice lug sole on it. Yeah, so as we were saying, Ephraim, that depending on what the invitation is for the business event and what the sponsor is telling you for as the dress code, I think that plays a very important and vital part of you being a business owner and understanding the details of what's going on. Because when you follow details to certain events, it helps an individual understand that you pay attention, you listen, you're a team player. You are striving for excellence. You're not trying to go out and be you're not trying to go to the event like a Christmas tree, or to an event to shine like a star. But your objective is to go in and network, be around like-minded people, not really, I wouldn't say blend in, but I would say being your authentic self by paying attention to the detail and being transparent. And so that again, that goes back to etiquette again. It goes back to, paying attention. It goes back to understanding the objective of the event, understanding what the event is all about and why you were invited to the event and why you were sought after to come to the event. So, those type of things you have to take, under consideration, and pay very close attention to what you're being what's being asked of you and try to provide, the service that you're asked to do to the best of your ability. So, again, to go back to your question is, depending on what the social event is, it'd be a strong response from you to try at your best to do what the event is requiring for you to do when the invitation is sent and get an understanding. If you don't understand the dress code for the event, is the most important to talk to the one who invited you to get more clarity and get more understanding. What type of, is this a business casual event? Is this a semi-formal event? What type of event is it? And once you understand that the event it is, you know how to move with structure.
Most people just say business casual is the dress code now. And I think that leaves it up for a lot of people to interpret what that means. But what exactly
Exactly.
does business casual mean?
It means exactly what he said. Business casual is a nice, sports shirt, khaki pants. It could be a knit shirt, and it could be chino khakis. It could be five pocket pants, with a a vest with zipper. It could be anything to do that's not over the top, but it's a business structure. But when it says business casual, you want to dress like you're about business, okay? But you're not coming in, you know, with your sports attire on, spandex and all these type of things on. It is business casual. That's why you have gym things for the gym. You have things for business. You have things for formal. You have things for semi-formal. So business casual means what it means. Now with business casual, you can wear a nice sport coat without a tie, with an open collar shirt and khaki pants, and a nice pair of cognac or brown shoes or whatever your choice may be. But that's what it's centered around. You're not dressing over the top and you're not underdressing. You're dressing for a business environment. That's what business casual means.
I know I be debating with some of my co-hosts about skinny jeans. I don't think skinny jeans has a way should be in the business at all, but they tell me that skinny jeans are part of the culture now, and it's all right to wear it if you wear them correctly.
Oh, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Let me go ahead. It is a part of what they said, the culture. Is it a part of the business culture, though? Those are two. See, people use words, brother Ephraim, but they have to really think about the words they're using. Yes, they are part of the culture. Okay. So yes, they can be worn as part of the culture, but are they a part of the business culture? Is the question. And the question is that's the consensus of the business culture that skinny jeans are accepted. So the point is that we have to really think about what we're saying and do our research, do our due diligence, because sometimes you can think the skinny jeans are part of the business culture, and you find out over and over again why the deal is not coming through for you. You could be qualified, you could be all of that. But you got to understand that the business arena is a very detailed arena. It's a very observative arena. You got to understand in the business culture is every reasons come up why I cannot give you the contract. So you have to do everything with simplicity and understand what's going on, because at the end of the day, you're not trying to sell the people your clothes. You are designed to sell the people your idea. So you don't want anything being a hindrance to them receiving your ideas on a contract. Bottom line.
You're listening to Mic'd Up Money, where faith meets finance and your comeback starts now.
What's the difference between being authentic and being unprepared?
Well, that's an excellent question. Unprepared and authentic, they really don't really fit the same category. So authentic means you're being the best you can be, but being unprepared is unresponsive. It's not being responsible. Okay, so those two different things. Those are two different areas we're dealing with. Unprepared is that I'm not responsible, but authentic means I'm being the best me I can be. So that's kind of a little bit of an oxymoron to compare those two, because one is I'm being the best I can be. The other is I'm just not being prepared. So you can be the best you can be at the same time, being unprepared is not a good thing. So it's not a good, I would say it's kind of a razor sharp question you ask.
The way I look at it is, I'm authentically pretty much conservative. I might try some things outside of what my dressing vernacular sometimes, just to try it out. But basically, I'm gonna be conservative. Now, I think being unprepared is like you said before. If I'm going to a particular setting and I know it's business casual and I don't have on business casual, but I go anyway, I may not be properly suited and booted for that particular environment because what I had on that day may not have been appropriate for the occasion I'm going to. And I think that a lot of times people don't put a lot of thought on what their schedule is. And sometimes in your scheduling, you might have to do an outfit change because what you had on normally would not fit the occasion that you're going to. That's what I call being unprepared.
And you can put that on the category of unprepared, but then you can put under the category just don't know.
Okay.
Okay. So unprepared is a situation that you can do better, but you didn't do better. But just not knowing is a whole different field. And I really believe, from in my area of expertise and being in the business of years, I think a lot of people just don't know
Okay.
in the culture we live in today, in comparison to the way we were raised and taught, table manners and how you should act in public and what you should do and the things you should pay a close attention to. I think a lot of our generation today are not getting those type of lessons at home first,
Okay.
and that's why a lot of times it's not because they're unprepared, it's because they just don't know.
Well, two more questions. Name a color that makes a man look instantly more premium.
A color that makes a man looks instantly more premium,
Yes.
polished. I would
Polished
have to go
premium.
with I would go with charcoal gray and navy.
Okay. And what is the biggest trying too hard giveaway?
Too much flash, too much flash, too much flash. Just over the top, just too much going on. Tie clip, collar bar, blinging cufflinks, blinging watch, bringing bracelet, bringing blinging watch, blinging bracelet, blinging pocket square, blinging, just too many gadgets instead of just keeping it simple. A ring on both fingers, a bracelet, a watch on both hands, and just Everything, I tell you how you know it's over top, because everything is competing with everything you have on. It's a competition what you have on.
Well, what about the people who say you should fake it until you make it? So they have fake watches, they have fake gold on, they have fake this on. You think?
I don't believe in it. I don't go. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
I'm saying, do you believe that that's appropriate in business, or you
No.
think that they should just wear what they can afford?
No, I I agree with you. Wear what you can afford, because that's what makes you authentic. It doesn't mean because you're not wearing a Rolex, or you're not wearing Cartier, or you're not wearing this, that, and other, some of the brands, but you just take a basic watch. It could be a Timex, and you can just be smart enough and get you a nice strap, you know, and you wear that watch, and you wear your outfit. You don't have to have anything else on, because you're clean. And that is more inviting than someone who puts on all the fake stuff, faking it to their making. Because in this industry, I tell you, people don't realize things are moved by frequency. And when you have someone that's been in at this level, or this, when you have people on levels of success, they are not easily impressed about anything. So the deal is, what they are most impressed about is simplicity and authenticity. So, when you're faking, it's a frequency that flows from being faking. And then there's a frequency that flows with being authentic. It's a frequency. One is on the AM and one is on the FM. When you're being fake, that's an AM frequency. It's static, because you're saying things that's just like, they are appearing to be one way, but this is not really what it is. So question is, can I trust them? Because if you're faking yourself out, that's the signal you're gonna send to others. You're faking. So can I trust this one that's faking? And a lot of time that frequency will kill your deal. But when you come in and being authentically, you say, this is where I am. This is my entry level. I have the skills to succeed. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move in a space where I am until I get to the next level. It's not a lot of this stuff I'm saying, man, it's not complex. It's really simple.
Okay. Well, we about to close out this segment of Mike the Money, Dressing for Success Part 2. In this closing remark, tell us who you are. Tell us how the people can get in contact with you, and give us your best closing point for doing business with you.
Well, the best closing point I can have for doing business with me is that I would like to connect to people that are in line with some of the things we have been speaking on. People that are in business and just desire, goods or my services for their branding, or what they're desiring to do in the outline they're trying to go. And we will sit down and do a consultation and do our best to help you meet the goals that you so desire for as your attire that meets the framework of where you're going. My name is Zebelum Rushing. Name of my company is Bespoke by Zebulun. I have over 40 years of experience. The number I can be reached is 901-415-9600, ELUM, or you can email me at Zebulun, ZEBRUSHING, at gmail.com. And I'll be more than happy to have a consultation with you. I do private settings, so I can come to you, Zebulun, ZEBELUM, at yahoo.com, or ZebulumRushing at gmail.com. That's ZEBELUMRUSHING at gmail.com. So I am your personal bespoke luxury connoisseur.
Okay, so this is Ephraim Simmons. We conclude this session of Mic'd Up Money. We appreciate it if you give us a like or share a comment. If you need to really reach out and you really want to make an impact in your business, I recommend our guest today, because he's really made a difference in my life.
That's a wrap for this week on Mic'd Up Money. Don't forget to grab your free tools at micdupmoney.com. Follow us at Mic'd Up Money on all social platforms, and keep taking your next right money move. Until next time, stay reset, stay ready, and stay mic'd up.
One soul.